Good morning on this Thursday, the 12th of November. And today this is on the road south out of Cairns. Got a couple of shots coming up, which my daughter has taken. Her camera on her phone is absolutely spectacular. So this is Walsh's Pyramid behind me. The road up through the Gillies Range up to Atherton Tablelands is where my hand is trying to up this way. Absolutely spectacular. And I believe we took this photos. We were taking a drive up to the Tablelands. So young cane returns after cutting then, and Queensland's second tallest mountains behind is further over here. Come back to your hand here. Yeah, where my hand's disappearing in the distance. This morning, I thought I'd read to you again another psalm. This is Psalm 123. There's only 4 verses, so it's small, sweet, short, and to the point. Lord, I look up to you, up to heaven where you rule. As a servant depends on his master, as a maid depends on her mistress, so we will keep looking to you, O Lord our God, until you have mercy on us. Be merciful to us, Lord, be merciful. We've been treated with so much contempt. We have been mocked too long by the rich and scorned by proud oppressors. This is one of these psalms which goes along the lines of Don Carson's excellent book, How Long, O Lord, where he looks at the psalms which deal with the hard realities of life. There is hope and there's truth that the beauty of the world can only be seen through the Lord who cares for us. Now, the language might look odd because not too many of us would see ourselves as servants or maids. But this is the role that God calls us, that God is indeed the master. Our master, our mistress, the person who's in charge of us, the one we look to, the one we ought to obey. And there's a lot of the church today where obeying God doesn't seem to be terribly popular. When in fact, the whole concept of sin doesn't seem to be terribly popular in some parts of what claim to be the Christian church. We know that we are not perfect. We know that there are things that without God's forgiveness, we have no hope. This is a prayer for mercy for us. Irrespective of what's happening, this is a prayer for God's mercy and deliverance, even when there seems to be no hope. It's a prayer for God's mercy and protection when people treat us with contempt, when we are mocked, when we are oppressed, when we're scorned. The people I work with, I don't need to teach them this because they've seen it themselves each and every day. Their parents, their grandparents have lived it. Their great-grandparents would have been lucky if they've survived it. The mocking, the oppression, the racism. But here is a prayer for mercy, even in the middle of all this. That even when it is too much to bear, when people who seem intent on evil, or people who are intent on foolishness seem to win the day, our prayer should always be this prayer. And it's not one that's a platitude. Oh, gee, I hope it's going to be better. It's actually a prayer which says, Lord, hear my cry of pain. That your truth, that your love might be known in my life and the lives of the people around me. And this is a prayer that God has heard throughout history. It is the prayer of the children of Israel in slavery in Egypt. It is the prayer of the people of God in exile. It is the prayer of the people of God oppressed by the Romans, seeking for the promised Messiah. It has been the prayer in many times, in many places for Christians who are suffering badly by the way they've been treated by political powers, by invaders, and at times, sadly, even by their own church. There's been plenty of that in history. Lord, we pray this prayer this morning. Lord, let the days of contempt and injustice be ended. Allow us to know hope and new life through you.